Hello, everybody, and welcome to Fox World News and Entertainment. I'm your host, Fox Tater. We got a great show lined up for you, so stick around. I'm just going to call it Did You Know? For instance, did you know that Gene Simmons was a sixth grade teacher? I didn't know that. But yes, he was. He was a sixth grade teacher. He signed up to substitute, and what he ended up substitute for was a sixth grade teacher position. It came up, and he said he wanted to expand their knowledge and learning capabilities. And he also said the ideals start with them. But, you know, Gene Simmons, he's always looking for an audience. And some have said that audience was just too small for him, so he kind of got out of that. But that's something that a lot of people didn't know. And now you know. So on with the show. So here we go. Like I said, this show is called Fox World News and Entertainment. And normally our news and entertainment deals with entertainment news. Imagine that. However, last show, we did stick with the music entertainment industry. So this time, we're going to go ahead and get into a little bit of Hollywood. Starting off, let's go ahead and start with Harrison Ford playing the role as Han Solo. Now, before we start off, I want to let you know there was a lot more actors that were involved in auditioning for this very part. But you don't think of the original Star Wars without thinking of Han Solo being played by Harrison Ford. But Harrison Ford almost didn't get the role. Actually, he was working as a carpenter installing a door for Francis Ford Coppola when George Lucas stopped by and was convinced to let Ford read some lines from the movie. Amazing how things come together, huh? Well, not only there was another person that was involved. Well, like I said, actually several. They know this guy, Al Pacino. A few years after the two Godfather films, George Lucas actually considered Al Pacino to audition for the role. Now, Pacino has confirmed in previous interviews that he passed on the opportunity, noting that he didn't understand the film, and he felt he was wanted more for his star power. And that does sound a little bit like Al, doesn't it? How about this guy, Kurt Russell? Prior to breaking out as an actor in the 1980s with films like Escape from New York and The Thing. Oh, one more thing you probably didn't know. Kurt Russell also played, when he was a kid, in one of Elvis's movies. Not only did he play a role in an Elvis movie, he actually kicked Elvis Presley in the knee. But don't get me wrong, that's what was in the role. But Kurt Russell could have played Han Solo. And back in his early days, I could actually kind of see that. But you can also go online, and his audition tapes for Han Solo are online, giving fans a rare insight into what could have been. Yo, Adrian. Yes, that's Rocky. Can you imagine him as Han Solo? Although Rocky had not yet hit theaters when Lucas was casting the role, Stallone has confirmed his audition for the part and said that he admitted to Lucas that he would not be a good fit for the role. Okay, I kind of have to agree with that one, I think. But you never know. It's Hollywood. Because in Hollywood, let's go ahead and put it this way. Every writer, director, producer that comes up with a movie or an ideal for a movie, they have the ideal person to fit that role. Sometimes that person is not available, so you have so many casting members that you have to go through. Well, once a movie comes out and it becomes a big hit, you cannot think of anybody else playing that part except for the person that was cast in that movie. And that's just the way Hollywood is. How about Robert Englund? Freddy Krueger as Han Solo? Of course, it'd be without the blade glove. But before he was known as Freddy Krueger, Robert Englund did go ahead and audition for the role. Although Englund didn't get the part, he did prove to be instrumental in the foundation of Star Wars. As we go into another, did you know that it was Robert Englund who urged his friend then, Mark Hamill, to audition for the part of Luke Skywalker? So many interesting things in Hollywood that a lot of people just don't say. Another one, Christopher Walken. If Ford did not become Han Solo, Christopher Walken would have. According to How Star Wars Conquered the Universe, Walken was actually Lucas's second choice for the role. a part in which could have served as Walken's big breakout appearance.
Eastbound and down, loaded up and trucking. Are we gonna do what they say can't be done?
And that's another one, right there. Burt Reynolds, of all people. The same year he starred in Smokey and the Bandit, an alternate universe could have seen Burt Reynolds play Han Solo instead. He has said in interviews that he passed on the opportunity because he felt it was too similar to other roles he had done. But he also admitted that he regretted that decision afterwards. And like I said, there's several more that we can get to, just don't have all the room to go ahead and put it on one podcast. Nick Nolte is another one. Many years before playing the Mandalorian's best character, Nick Nolte could have been Han Solo instead. This would have served as Nick Nolte's big breakthrough as his career moved from the small screen to the big screen. He has since said that he'd have been a goofy Han Solo and would probably not be the right fit. Well, okay, you said it, not me. And another one, or should I say yet another one, Tom Selleck, Magnum P.I. as Han Solo. This one's really going to get you. Not only did Tom Selleck miss out on playing Indiana Jones, a role which was later given to Ford, of all people, he was also reportedly considered to be Han Solo. A few years later, neither Selleck or Lucas have confirmed this to be the case, but Robert Englund has said that Selleck was among the contenders to join Star Wars and play the smuggler, which by smuggler, if you don't know Star Wars, that's what Han Solo was. And we're going to wrap that up for the Star Wars Han Solo trilogy. Okay, let's keep it going. Did you know that Martin Luther King Jr. paid for Julia Roberts' birth? Well, that one's actually true. After Julia Roberts was born on October of 1967, family friends Martin Luther King Jr. and Coretta Scott King picked up the tab. The Kings befriended Betty Lou and Walter Grady Roberts after their children enrolled in the acting school run by the Robertses in Georgia. Julia explained, "One day, Coretta Scott King called my mother and asked her if her kids could be part of the school because they were having a hard time finding a place that would accept her kids. And my mom was like, sure, come on over." When asked why the Kings paid for her birth, Julia said, "Obviously because my parents couldn't pay for the hospital." Good answer. I think we'll play. Okay, everybody in the 80s and 90s and so on would actually know this person, Dr. Ruth Westheimer. For those of you that don't know, she was actually a sex therapist, or should we say an online sex therapist? Well, actually, it's not online back then. It was a television sex therapist. She was on every talk show host there was. But this little lady, I'm going to ask the question, did you know that she could put a bullet between your eyes from 400 yards away? That sounds a little bit offish, but it's true. She was actually trained as a sniper. Westheimer was born in Germany to a Jewish family. As the Nazis came to power, her parents sent the 10-year-old girl to a school in Switzerland for safety while they remained behind because of her elderly grandmother. And sad to say, both were killed in concentration camps. After World War II, she immigrated to British-controlled Mandatory Palestine. At 4 feet 7 inches and 17 years of age, she was trained as a sniper. On her 20th birthday, she was wounded in action by an exploding shell during mortar fire on Jerusalem during the 1947 to 1949 Israeli War of Independence and almost lost her foot. God rest her soul, and God bless her. That's hard to lose your parents like that, but she knew how to get them back, didn't she? This next one is a heartfelt one, and this actor has all of my respect, and he should have all of yours as well. After I tell you the story, you'll find out why. Actor Steve Buscemi, which actually, his parents are from Italy, so the last name is actually Buscemi. But anyway, he never liked to pronounce it that way. He always said Buscemi. So you may know this beautiful face right here from a lot of Adam Sandler comedy classics, not to forget Coen Brothers movies. But this, you didn't know. Or maybe you did and you just didn't tell me about it. Steve was actually a firefighter in New York City's Little Italy for 4 years, beginning in 1980. During 9/11, he once again strapped back into his gear and assisted the FDNY at Ground Zero. What a hero. What a professional. You got to have respect for him. You got to honor him. We thank you so much. You might as well salute you. Steve Buscemi, Steve Buscemi, hell of a job, brother.
Just like the wide-winged dove sings a song, sounds like she's singing. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
This is what it sounds like when doves cry.
Yes, we're back with Prince, and not only with Prince, we're back with Stevie Nicks. Last episode we had, it was about Prince and Stevie. Stevie going ahead and writing a song called Stand Back because she heard Little Red Corvette from Prince on the radio. That's how the two got together in the first place. Well, since that happened, it kind of makes you wonder, did Prince really think the same like Stevie did? Well, as luck would have it, yes, he did. Prince wrote When Doves Cry after hearing Edge of 17 by Stevie Nicks. Detailing the incident, Nicks explained, he was inspired by Edge of 17 to write When Doves Cry. That's really when he and I started to sort of be friends. From that moment onward, at the very end of Edge of 17, I go, I know what it sounds like, I know what it sounds like, I know what it sounds like when doves cry, it sounds like you. And this is how she does it. Well, Prince took his inspiration for When Doves Cry, immediately getting to work and playing every instrumental for the song. In fact, he even recorded the bass part, but ripped it from the mix right at the last minute. He said sometimes your brain kind of splits in two. Your ego tells you one thing, and the rest of you says something else. You have to go with what you know is right. Of course, with Prince, you can't imagine him not striking gold at the very first try. For When Doves Cry kind of became an exercise for him. Prince's mix engineer, Susan Rogers, recalled, the bass is on the multi-track tape, but it was muted in the final mix. It's interesting listening to this record again and being reminded of how a real genius knows when to show it off and when to just be simple. Of course, any idea floated by Prince was never to be ignored, and he proved that when he ran it by singer Jill Jones. Prince told Jill, if I could have it my way, it would sound like this, and I pulled the bass out of the mix. She said, well, why don't you have it your way? Ultimately, he remembered who he was and decided to follow his musical instincts. When Doves Cry came out, it became one of the only songs to not have a bass line in it. Speaking of no bass line, if you watch the video of When Doves Cry, Mark Brown, you can see, had to dance his way all the way through the video because there was no bass involved. However, you can look it up, and the only time you'll hear Mark Brown playing bass is on the live versions. I believe that's the only time Prince would go ahead and allow Mark Brown to play bass to When Doves Cry was when he was in concert, and yet then it was pretty much at the end or middle of the song. But if you go back to 45 records, you know on each 45 you have a flip song, a side A, side B. Well, of course, side A was When Doves Cry. Side B, on the flip side, was a song called 17 Days. By rumor, some have said that Prince decided to take out the bass line from When Doves Cry and kind of use it for 17 Days, which the two do sound similar. As far as bass lines are considered, I was going to go ahead and add both songs together. However, Warner Reprise still will not let you go ahead and reload it up to YouTube, so I cannot do that. So you're going to have to go to YouTube and actually just look up 17 Days and compare it yourself. And you'll see, as far as bass line's concerned, what I mean, that the songs are similar to what a bass line could be put in on either one. Now, this next one, I am able to go ahead and upload this one. And this is the live version. It does not have Mark Brown in the video, but this is how Mark Brown played it. And this one is from 1990 in Tokyo.
You say, no way the world is so cold, oh, it's so cold. Maybe I'm just too bad, and baby, maybe I'm just like I'm you do this for
And that's how Mark Brown played bass in When Doves Cry, in the studio as well, but just never made it to the track. On another note, When Doves Cry was Prince's first Billboard Hot 100 #1 single, and it stayed there for 5 weeks and was also a worldwide hit. It was a top-selling single of 1984. It is certified platinum by the Recording Industry Association of America. It was the last single released by a solo artist to receive a platinum certification before the certification requirements were lowered in 1989. Proving that he is actually a real genius. You just gotta love it.
Is this the real life? Is this just fantasy?
This last one's a big one. And yes, you hear the song, Bohemian Rhapsody. That is by Queen. Freddie Mercury referred to Bohemian Rhapsody as a mock opera. That resulted from a combination of 3 songs he had written. It was recorded by Queen and co-produced by Roy Thomas Baker at 5 studios between August and September of 1975. Due to the recording logistics of the era, the band had to bounce the tracks across 8 generations of 24-track tape, meaning that they required nearly 200 tracks for overdubs. Now, for those of you that don't know what overdubbing is, I made a little tutorial about overdubbing. So we're going to go ahead and show you that now, and then I'll come back and finish the rest of the story. Okay, to understand these better, right now, this is a 16-track. Is what it's called. Well, it's 16 channels. We call them tracks, usually, and each track has its own, let's say, like this one. All right, we're on track 6 over here. Track 6 is a lead vocal, let's say. So you got your lead vocal here. You got harmony number 1, harmony number 2, harmony number 3, and the harmony number 4. So that's a 4-part harmony right there on 11, 12, 13, and 14. So that, right there you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tracks just on lead vocal and 4 harmonies. Now you still got more. So what Queen is doing, they're doing so many harmonies and dubbing over these. Now here's, like I said, this is 16 track. So 16 tracks, they need it more. So what we're going to do is switch over and show you a 24 track. Okay, now here's a 1970 studio. Kind of the same thing that Queen was in. And this is as close as I can get to a 24 track or 24 channel, whichever one you prefer to use. And this is what they were doing. Now, like I mentioned before, the tracks, each track has to have a different instrument or a different vocal. So you're looking at one is your vocal. You got your lead guitar, you got your bass guitar, you got your drums, you got harmony 1, harmony 2, etc., and just keep going down the line. Well, now what they were doing, they were filling up every single one of these tracks. And just for the opera part, that's 24 tracks, and they were still overdubbing them, which means that if we go back to the other settings, I can show you a little bit better. And now with this other one, what we got here, okay, here's the harmonies I was talking about. Now there's a 4-part harmony right there. So now what they do by overdubbing, they take these harmonies, and then from here, all of these harmonies, you see them moving over here. Now I'm going to go over to this track right here and be on channel 6, which is track 6, and they record these all together and overdub on track 6. And so now all of these are now on track 6, and they just go back and redo it and redo each single track for 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, for them, every single one. Okay, now that you know about the overdubbing part, we're going to go ahead and pick up where we left off with the co-producer, Baker, because Baker recalled this in 1999. He said, Bohemian Rhapsody was totally insane, but we enjoyed every minute of it. It was basically a joke, but a successful joke. We had to record it in 3 separate units. We did the whole beginning bit, then the whole middle bit, and then the whole end. It was complete madness. The middle part started off being just a couple of seconds, but Freddie kept coming in with more Galileos.
Galileo, Galileo, Galileo Figaro.
Magnifico!
And we kept adding to the opera section. And it just got bigger and bigger. We never stopped laughing. It started off as a ballad, but the end was heavy. Lead guitarist Brian May, drummer Roger Taylor, and Freddie Mercury sang their vocal parts continually for 10 to 12 hours a day. The entire piece took 3 weeks to record, and in some sections featured over 180 overdubs. In multiple interviews, May recalled how Mercury's vocal overdubs were so exhaustingly precise that he would create a natural phrasing effect. Since the studios of the time only offered 24-track analog tape, which is shown here, it was necessary for the three to overdub themselves many times and bounce these down to successive submixes. In the end, 8th generation tapes were used. The various sections of the tape containing the desired submixes had to be spliced, cut, and assembled in the correct sequence.
Now there you have the three of us pretending to be girls, really. This would be another part.
Thunderbolt and lightning, very, very frightening me.
So there we are, sounding like boys. Do 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 do. You know, so that's the cascade effect. In Bohemian Rhapsody, they're actually sung like that. Magnifico, or they're sung. They're not switched, but the principle is the same.
All those OOOs were done on separate tracks, so we could get a stereo movement. The Magnificos, which were done in little success Magnifico, and it going down like that, so we could actually have those go right across the stereo. And so to do that, we didn't want to put it on the pan part. That sounded sort of phony. We actually did it as recorded it in segments.
Brian May recalled placing the tape up to the light and seeing directly through the tape since it had been used so many times. Now that is one heck of an overdub. And that's how Freddie Mercury was. He knew what he wanted, and he was going to get it no matter what it took. And turns out, it was a classic. Well, that's going to wrap it up for us right here at Fox World News and Entertainment. Hope you enjoyed this segment and this very podcast, and we hope you learned something as well. I know I sure did. And trust me, it took a lot of research to come up with all of this. But at least you know now what you didn't know then. And once again, as mentioned at the beginning of this podcast, remember always on YouTube, click subscribe. Always click subscribe, as it does not cost you a dime. Subscribe just helps us to have more flexibility with YouTube channel. Always follow us. It helps all of us with gaining more of an audience and more of getting into the advertisement world. So once again, click subscribe, click follow, click like if you love it. And don't forget, under all of my videos, there is a donation box. You should set up to a PayPal account that is just for this podcast only. It's for the videos, it's for the quality, and it's for better systems. And it's also for subscriptions that we have to subscribe to in order to go ahead and get more and more out there. So any donation helps. We thank you so very much. From the bottom of my heart, I thank you so very much. And like I said, keep letting us know what you want to hear, what you want to delve into as far as if you want to know the history of music, history of anything, that's fine. If you want to hear about news that's just been coming out, I'm fixing to delve into the news, and boys, that's going to be a good one when I start getting into politics. But anything you want to hear about, let us know. As you can see on all of my platforms, I have the email address lined right up for you. It's foxworldne2024@gmail.com. Give me a holler. Let me know what you want to add to the program. And when we start going live, be sure to catch me on YouTube Live. I'll be glad to go ahead and have you join in. If you have your own setup, I can go ahead and get you on screen as well. If not, we'll just go ahead and use the chat box, and I'll go ahead and chat right along with you on YouTube. And if I get a higher computer that can handle all the load, once I start live streaming on YouTube, I can also hit that live stream to different platforms all at one time. So everything will be live on all 3 different platforms that I'm going to be live streaming to. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Just stay with us and keep watching. Keep looking for us. And until then, for Fox World News and Entertainment, I'm your host, Fox Taylor. We'll see you next time.